Well, that was some episode of AEW Dynamite presented by Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. But hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Tuman Love, here with your AEW Dynamite review for August 17, 2022. So, oh gee, a bunch happened last night on AEW TV. You know, the landscape of pro wrestling has been really heating up the last few weeks. I mean, with Vince McMahon retiring, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, they come back. Last night, we got the long awaited return of one cleaner, Mr. Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega. First time we've seen him since the Dynamite after Full Gear in November. Ay, ay, ay. But, you know, it was no go figure. It was pretty obvious to the point that Omega was going to be the partner of the Young Bucks. I think everyone pretty much knew that he was going to be their partner against Andrade, Roosh, and Dragon Lee in the main event and quarterfinals matchup for the Trios tournament. And it's a very good main event. Very good. Um, Kenny, he went through a lot of injuries last year. Went through a lot that we didn't really put into perspective. You know, he had a knee injury, he had a shoulder injury, a hernia, etc. I mean, yes, it was obvious, but, you know, last night seeing Justin Roberts make his big announcement for Kenny, and then he comes out and just seeing Omega after so many days away, it was very a joy to see and great to see Omega back. I mean, he did have tape on his shoulder. He still wore like a protective shirt. So, you know, clear as day, he's not 100% yet, and that's fine. But, if Omega is healthy and this puts now an interesting perspective on the trios tournament because next week we get Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. And the winner of that will face, spoiler, Omega and the Bucks. So, you know, we may finally see Ospreay and Omega in the ring after all the back and forth they've gone through on social media. I mean, it would be one hell of a ride, to say the least. But, you know, it also opens up, it's just crazy. We also got a great back and forth between CM Punk and Jon Moxley. And it was announced tonight, or last night rather, that in Cleveland next week, it will be Jon Moxley for CM Punk. Unification for the undisputed AEW World Title. Now, it's not saving it for All Out. You just want there now with Punk back and them doing this match next week. It's certainly a question of do we get MJF next week? Pretty much ruining this match. And then we get MJF basically included in this world title feud culminating at All Out in Chicago. It's certainly there. It's certainly there. I mean, it was certainly a bombshell having having this match be next week. And we're 3 weeks away from All Out. So, curious what Tony Khan has in mind. We got a great 2 out of 3 falls match between Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia keeps impressing. He's still in his early 20s. We saw for the whole night Ricky Steamboat, the legend Ricky Steamboat, as special guest timekeeper. I mean, jeez. But nonetheless, thank you for joining me. If you want to see more of these videos, more pro wrestling views, AEW, pro wrestling, etc., find them on the homepage. Click the description down in the corner. But nonetheless, thank you. I made sure to enough. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into the review, I have to say, sorry for usually I post AEW Rampage reviews on the weekend. Usually on the weekend. I posted it on Saturday, but for whatever reason, there was an issue with it and it was gone Saturday. For whatever reason, or it didn't post. So, not sure what went on, but give my quick thoughts on Rampage before I get into Dynamite last night. Parker Boudreaux looks like, the resemblance is certainly there. with Brock Lesnar. I mean, I only saw clips of him in NXT. I didn't really follow it. I haven't really followed NXT in quite a while. But, you know, Boudreaux has it. He seems to have it. You know, he has the look, he has the speed, he has the power. You know, he demolished Sonny Kiss really early. I think it was obvious. You know, what I wasn't too keen on was the ending of Rampage. So Parker Boudreaux beat Sonny Kiss earlier in the show. At the end of Rampage, the main event was Orange Cassidy versus Arya Daivari, which Orange Cassidy took care of Daivari at the end when melee ensued. Sonny Kiss sided with the Trustbusters. I mean, that is not going to move for Parker Boudreaux to me. I mean, you know, it. I don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's just me. But from what I saw of Boudreaux, you know, he has the look, again, the ability. He needs time and he needs more room to grow. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I like Boudreaux. The ending was hit and miss for me. Now let's get into Dynamite. The review from last night, which was a very good show. So, Dynamite started off with CM Punk, the AEW World Champion. He was out there. They were in West Virginia. He called out Hangman Adam Page, saying how Hangman, if he wants his rematch, they'll do it right now. He sat down. No answer. So, Punk mentioned how that's coward shit. So then he said, let's deal with the important news at the hand. Talked about Jon Moxley, saying how Moxley has been coming out as the AEW Interim World Champion. He said, well, Moxley is the third best guy in this group, and that's been a recurring thing as of history. Talked about broken bones and such for Moxley, and Punk said the only one who's broken bones recently is him. Granted, it was his own, but still. They ran down Moxley's best friend Eddie Kingston, saying how Kingston is the third best Eddie that he's been in the ring with. Now, you know, I don't think. I'm not sure. So, third best Eddie. So, Punk first Eddie Edwards, I assume. You know, I don't think Punk's been in the ring with Eddie Guerrero, but there's that. Said he's the second best Kingston he shared the locker room with. So praise to Kofi, but he's not number one in anything of his in anything. So he talked about Moxley again, saying that Moxley won't be the first John he's been in Chicago for a title on a pay-per-view. And he's certainly not number one in that. So Moxley's music hit. Punk said, well, you know, he's got to have some time until Moxley hits the ring. So he started doing snow angels in the middle of the ring. Hilarious. So Moxley finally made his way down to the ring. He said, oh no, everybody, CM Punk's dropping pipe bombs. So Moxley said his mouth is writing checks that his body can't cash. He said that that belt on Punk's shoulder don't mean shit. Said his belt doesn't mean shit until he beats him. So they squared up looking to fight. Punk said that, well, are you done? Moxley said the only reason he came to AEW is because he ran out of money, so don't do that. Moxley said he's the heart and soul of AEW. He said that it's about fighting spirit and that Punk ran out of fighting spirit a long time ago. Punk said, well, you can be the heart and soul, I'll be the dollars and the cents. So, finally, a big brawl escalated. Referees separate them. I mean, crazy. Final line also mentioned by Punk. He said, well, we have a match at the pay-per-view, and I'm afraid if I touch you, you'll just bleed all over me. Signifying how much blood Moxley wears during his matches, especially as of late. Crazy. Powerhouse Hobbs had a nice promo backstage. Talked about Ricky Starks, saying how, well, Ricky admitted that he's okay with losing. And Hobbs said that his job for a year was to protect Ricky and make sure he was still champion. And he did, but Starks failed last week, or 2 weeks ago, rather. And I mean, these two are in collision course. I mean, Hobbs, both guys are great. So, excuse me. Bryan Danielson, the first match of the night was 2 out of 3 falls. Bryan Danielson for Garcia. A match of the year candidate, per se. You know, the FTR and the Briscoes matches are just crazy, but you know, I can totally see this match being up there. So, of course, they were chain wrestling throughout the match, or walking in hold for hold. So in the first fall, Garcia hit a butterfly suplex into an armbar attempt, but Bryan countered to a shoulder capture suplex. A little bit later in the match, Bryan, who was busted up after DT on the apron, or on the outside, went for a triangle, locked in a triangle on Garcia after he went for the Dragon Tamer, per se. But Garcia hoisted him up and delivered a devastating pile driver and locked in a arm trap dragon sleeper. Again, still hinting with the dragon name, AEW presented by Game of Thrones House of Dragon. You got Ricky Steamboat, the dragon, at ringside. Special guest timekeeper. I mean, just keep it up. So, Bryan passed out. Garcia took the first fall. And all of a sudden, Garcia had the referee count because, first fall finish. So, like I said, Bryan was busted open. They were back trading holds. Garcia went for another Dragon Sleeper, but Bryan somehow rolled him up on his shoulders. 1, 2, 3. And Bryan took the second fall. So now we're 9 up. So there was a cut on Garcia's nose that was interesting, add to the physicality of this match. They were fighting on the outside, or on the turnbuckle, I should say. Bryan hit a release German suplex off the top rope to Garcia. Fold up, a diving missile drop kick off the top. Back and forth. Garcia actually hit a running knee for a near fall. More submission game at this point. Jockeying for position. Bryan hit or locked in the label lock on Garcia. Garcia gave up. I'm not sure if he gave up or passed out, but nonetheless, Bryan took the third fall, and Bryan gets this victory. Hell of a match. Hell of a match to open Dynamite. I mean, want to come out of the gates early and on fire. Certainly the way to do so. With that promo. Now these two. So, on Rampage, we got Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee versus Private Party for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Private Party is actually ranked in the top 5 of the tag teams and rankings in AEW. Okay. So, Toni came out set for one-on-one action. Then he got blindsided by Jon Moxley, took out Mark Sterling as well. Moxley stormed to ring, called out Punk, saying he's not waiting till all out. He said, let's do this now. So Punk came out, officials came out, trying to separate them best they can, and yeah. The Varsity Blondes versus the Gun Club. This match, I was intrigued for this match because you got two exciting tag teams that, are still very young in their own right. But yeah, this was short, very short. The Gun Club. Colton hit the Colt 45 on Garrison for the win. And just like that, the Gun Club got the win over the Varsity Blondes. Billy Gunn called out his sons on Rampage saying they gotta smarten up. They gotta be more serious. And they took care of the Varsity Blondes pretty quick. Afterwards, I had mixed feelings about. So, Stokely Hathaway came out after the Guns embrace. And the Gun Club decked their father. They wanted the attack on their dad. While Stokely Hathaway made his way down the aisle. And the Gun Club turning on their dad. And it seems like siding with Stokely. But then the Acclaim came out for the save on Billy Gunn. And yeah. Stokely Hathaway is really making some recruitments, I will say. Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page, and the Gun Club. He is really making some investments, it appears. I mean, talk about guys who you want to see on AEW more, at least to me. I mean, Moriarty is hit or miss for me. Ethan Page, I love. Gun Club, I like their improvements and they're getting better. So, Stokely Hathaway is certainly making some interesting investments, and Billy Gunn reuniting with the Acclaimed, it appeared. Death Triangle, they were backstage and they addressed United Empire, Will Ospreay, and Aussie Open for their match next week, their quarterfinal match next week in the trio tournament. I tell you, Ospreay versus Penta, Ospreay versus Pac, Ospreay versus Phoenix. What more could you say? And we may have gotten a little teaser. Of Pac versus Ospreay in AEW. Sign me the F up. I would love that. But I mean, yeah. Jungle Boy. He was in the ring. He talked about his Christian Cage is a pussy t-shirt. He said how people have made comments to him about the shirt and advised him to not wear it anymore on TV. So people booed. So Jungle Boy mentioned how he's trying to find ways to get to Christian. He tried to fight him. He tried to swing him at him with a chair. He tried to hit him with a car. Tony finally said, "Yeah, I was there." But he noted to Christian, I could keep trying to chase you and come after you. Or you can man up and face me at all out. So Christian came out and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Said, my answer is no. That, we've said some things in the past that we may have regret about each other. And, he said he wants to bring Jungle Boy back to the promised land. He said in the ring, Jungle Boy, I love you like a son. Come home. So he was trying to console Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy didn't oblige. A brawl ensued. Christian threw him against the barricade on the outside, called him a piece of crap. JR said best. He told him he loves him like a son, and he calls him a piece of crap. Crazy. So they're got near the steel steps. Jungle Boy stomped Christian's head on the steel steps. I mean, a match is escalating between these two, and I'm excited for it. By the way, still no Luchasaurus saying anything. That's crazy. Kilynn King versus Toni Storm. Decent little match here. Kilynn King, been mostly on dark, but, with their swerts, she's showing improvement. Toni Storm, she is so crazy. She's only a few months in AEW, but already she's connected heavily with the fans. You know, she got the win here with 2 big DTs on King for the win. Rosa was looking on from the backstage area. And the first match was officially made for All Out. Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. We're getting it again, but a little bit more of a spotlight, so nice. Main event. Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Roosh versus the Young Bucks and the returning Kenny Omega. So, you know, Justin Roberts made the long announcement about Omega's achievements. What I found hilarious is, well, this is probably Tony Khan. During the intro, Justin Roberts said Kenny Omega is a PWI top 500 wrestler. And the issue that Jonathan Gresham and Tony Khan had that escalated. Gresham used his top 500 ranking to try to negotiate his ways with Tony Khan and Ring of Honor. So I thought that was a little slap in the face, like, yeah, that means something. But hilarious. So it was a bit strange though. As great it was to say Omega, Omega came out so with Don Callis, with Michael Nakazawa, you know, Omega, so again, he suffered all these injuries. He's been out, like 9 months. He had shoulder tape. He had the restrictive shirt on. I assume for his ribs. He was favoring his ribs for the entire match, or most of the match. But he looked very good. He looked very good. I mean, again, he's not 100%, but he's got to be very. He's good enough. He's good enough to be in there. So, very good match. Very good match between all 6. I would love to see more of Andrade, Dragon Lee, and Roosh as a trio. I would like to see it. So, for a while, they were being down on Dragon Lee. Nick hit a big dive, tope, swanton to the outside. There was a backbreaker, knee drop, leg drop combination by the Bucks and Kenny for 2. Andrade hit the right knees to Matt in the corner. for another near fall. You know, finally, Omega got a big tag. You know, he did some of what he could do. You know, he's not wrestled in 9 months. So, I mean, he's probably a little rusty. But, you know, went for the You Can't Escape, went for the Rise of the Terminator, tope to the outside, but it's cut off not once but twice. So, the Bucks and Kenny hit a super kick party for a near fall on Lee. A big spot in this match came. So they had the barricades closer to the ring. They had Kenny perch up on the barricade. Dragon Lee almost mocked both Darby Allin and Kenny Omega. He went for a Suicida, launched Omega off the top of the barricade into the crowd. Crazy spot, crazy spot. So they rolled him back in the ring for their fall. Andrade actually hit his Hammerwalk DT on Omega for a 2, broken up by Matt. Omega was struggling. He hit a V trigger on Dragon Lee. Not sure if it was miscommunication, but Omega finally hit the One Wing Angel. We have not seen that in a long time as well. On Dragon Lee, 1, 2, 3. The Elite advance and to the semifinals of the Trios tournament. They will face the winners of Death Triangle versus Osprey and United or Aussie Open. I mean, based on this result, you know, people would have already been heavily disappointed if Omega and the Buck or if Omega was not shown up last night. Well, if Osprey and Aussie Open don't win next week and we don't get them versus the Bucks and Kenny, I think people will be still very disappointed. Now, that triangle versus these 6 or these 3 will still be fun, but the writing's there. The writing is there. So, great stuff. Great to see Omega back. You know, do we see MJF next week? Like I said, you know, it's a little strange having Punk versus Moxley next week, not all out on September 4th. So, I'm not sure. But it's definitely strange with 3 weeks to go. We see how it goes. Should be interesting. But so Friday's Rampage, we got the second quarterfinal matchup between for the trios tournament. We got the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy versus the Trustbusters, Arya Davari, Parker Boudreaux, and Slim J. So, you know, you know, very obvious that best friends in OC are gonna advance, but yeah, should be an interesting tale on Friday. But nonetheless, that's the episode for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Um, Again, sorry about not getting the Rampage review post up for this weekend, but I should have one. I'll try to be home a little earlier on Friday so that way I can post or at least record a little review up for Saturday, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you all for joining me. I'm Angel to Love. If you like this video, click the like, leave a thumbs up. Thank you all. See you guys on Saturday, or this weekend rather. Adios. Peace.